Like most film critics who would put their best of 2015 reviews at the end of 2015.
Clickbait!
As clickbait, yes. We're going to do ours about 3 weeks into 2016.
Because, you know, like, with film, you know, I think every year is a good year for film.
Yeah.
There's always classics coming out every single year. Unlike film critics, we're not paid to do this, and we don't necessarily have the time. You have more time than me to go see movies.
Yeah.
So we don't get to see every single film like most critics do.
Yeah.
Who are in a position to, 4 years before the end of the year, to put their lists together. And most have already made their lists before, well, at the start of the year.
Yeah.
Most already decided what we're going to hate, what we're not going to like.
Yeah. Plus, most of them live in metropolitan London,
Exactly,
where they get to have critic screenings and get sent DVDs before the end of the year.
Well, we live up north.
Up north, where it's grim.
It's grim up north, but
and our monitors freeze from the cold.
Yeah. So we always find it a bit wiser to kind of, well, we found from the last time, it's wiser to give ourselves a little bit more time.
Yeah. So
we can catch up on seeing these films, and there's still some I've not seen. I'm going to preface with saying I've not seen Duke of Burgundy yet.
Yeah.
There's a couple of other foreign ones I've not seen. That'll be Assassin, which I really want to watch.
I was going to put that on actually, but that's actually a 2016 film because it's just played festivals so far. Apparently that doesn't come out for another couple of weeks in the UK.
So it can go on your 2016 list.
Yes.
So we're also going to preface it by saying this as well, like last time, this is based on films that were released in the UK in 2015.
Yeah.
So the film might have gone on general release in 2014 in America,
yeah.
But for it to count on our list, it had to go on general release in the UK in 2015.
Yeah.
So if there's any kind of stuff that there's crossover that might have been on 2014 lists, that's
the reason why
it's here, yeah. So I'm going to get that out of the way first.
Yeah.
So, yeah, without further ado, would you like to begin?
Well, I was just going to say I've got a couple of ones I haven't seen that I would have liked to have seen, which are Ex Machina.
Oh yeah,
that was meant to be really good. Yeah. And there was one called 45 Years, which is like a British film.
Oh yeah,
supposed to be really good.
Yeah. And, so yeah, I've not seen those three. I've not seen those two. I'm Duke of Burgundy, which I really want to watch.
Do you have any what we call it, like we did last year, like notable exceptions, stuff that wasn't on the list? I've got a couple.
What are your couple?
Well, I was going to say The Assassin, but it's only on there because it's technically not a film.
Yeah.
I was going to say the film Going Clear, which I reviewed, the Scientology film.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Which, although it was released in cinemas in 2015, was shown on TV first. So I'm gonna exclude it. Otherwise, you could technically have any kind of TV film.
Okay.
And that was the film Steve Jobs, which was really good, but just missed stuff.
I've heard the film is really technically great, but it distills it down to the great man of history trope.
Which I thought there was more to it than that.
Yeah, but that's what I've heard. I've not seen the film, and I've got no interest.
It did get really mixed reviews.
Yeah.
Sort of 5s and 1s kind of thing.
Yeah.
But yes, so those are mine, and yeah, with no further ado, my number 10 is Mad Max. Fury Road.
Fury Road.
Fury Road, yeah.
Okay.
Fury Road.
Fury Road.
Yes,
Thunder Road.
The action extravaganza, which has been number 1 on pretty much everyone else's
nominated
list.
for Best Picture.
That was surprising. I didn't think it was gonna. I thought that the Oscars would just leave it off, but no, it's a really great action film. I think it's slightly overrated. I don't think it's like one of the best films ever, which a lot of people are saying, but no, really solid, classic, incredibly loud,
very loud
action film.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's my number 10.
Okay.
What is your number 10?
My number 10, I have 2 films.
2 films?
Because fuck it, it's my list.
Okay.
And these are films which I respect more for the technicality of what they're trying to do, rather than how they cohere together as a film.
Yeah.
And those 2 films are Birdman. Which is I can't even begin to pronounce his name.
Alejandro Gonzalez Inarritu.
Yeah, that's it, yeah. And Paul Thomas Anderson's troubling, incoherent, inherent vice, the butt of most Absence of Waldo jokes. These are 2 films where I enjoyed them, but as a cinephile, as an actual audience member, I found Inherent Vice to be a frustratingly flawed film.
Yeah.
Plenty of great ideas, really brilliant performance by Joaquin Phoenix, but the plot itself is, I'm all up for a labyrinthian plots, we love Deadwood.
Yeah.
But, I've got to care.
Yeah.
We've talked about this before quite a lot, but I've got to care about what's going on screen, even if I don't understand the plot completely. As long as I emotionally am invested, I can go along with the film. Okay. Inherent Vice had nothing for me to grab on, which is a shame because I love the setting. I love Joaquin Phoenix's character. I think it's probably visually one of Paul Thomas Anderson's weaker films.
Yeah.
I think it's a little bit of a shame that, like, you know, all the outside shots of him walking around Las Vegas, not Las Vegas, California, yeah. They're all great, but I find it a bit disappointed that he just reverse shot.
Yeah.
For like all the conversation scenes, which is most of the film. So, a bit of a frustrating one, powered by a great central performance, and I appreciated it more from the technical point of view rather than as an actual film.
Yeah.
Same for Birdman. Birdman has got an excellent performance by Michael Keaton.
Yeah.
The style of it is excellent. The kind of constant jazz drumming in the background is great. All performances are really good. I found the plot itself to be a little bit irritating.
Another one of them, like, I haven't actually seen Birdman, but it sounded like one of them. Isn't it awful being an artist?
Yeah, it's like, you know, the whole tragedy of being an artist. It's quite pretentious.
Yeah.
Again, I've got nothing wrong with a film that's centered on an artist. You know, something like Stardust Memories, for example, the Woody Allen film, is really, really great for exploring kind of changing perceptions of an artist, but not making him an arsehole. Please be an arsehole, but you know, you can relate to him a bit.
Yeah.
Birdman, again, the same kind of thing. I didn't really have enough I could link to the film.
Yeah.
A couple of sequences are excellent. You know, the sequence where Mal Keegan's walking down the street and then Birdman appears behind him and he's like, you know, we can make a sequel again. $100 million budget. We can make $1 billion at the box office. And it's like every single movie producer in the whole world.
Yeah.
So there's certain sequences I enjoy. I love Michael Keaton in the role, and the technical side's excellent. But as a film, I couldn't really link onto it. So yeah, they're two films where I enjoyed it as a cinephile, but as an audience member, I was a bit mixed.
Conflicted.
Yeah.
Well, this is actually quite funny because my number 9 is incontinent-inducing spice as well.
See, I remember at the start of the year you said this heralded a brand new style of filmmaking.
I did think it was, and
what do you think now?
On a third viewing, I've come down a little bit from that. I think it works a lot better in the cinema, where you're just overwhelmed by sort of the sensation of the picture and the sound. It's a little bit. I echo some of your problems of the film, and I do now think it's probably Paul Thomas Anderson's maybe second worst film. After Hard 8, which is his debut.
Yeah.
But this is the thing, you should watch Hard 8 actually, it's fairly interesting, because it was originally like about 2.5 hours long, and the studio cleaved it down to about 100 minutes. So it makes no logic, it's almost as incomprehensible as Inherent Vice, but it's not his fault. But yeah, I still think it's a great film, well directed, has a lot to like about it. But yeah, it does have a lot of problems, and it's comparatively to the rest of his filmography, relatively weak.
It ain't no Master.
It's not anywhere near the Master or There Will Be Blood.
Yeah.
But, you know, I'm sure he's just had to get it out of his system before he makes another one. Because if you think about, you know, the Master and There Will Be Blood, the film he made before that was Punch Drunk Love.
Oh, yeah.
Sort of similarly mixed reviews, and then he went into like a whole new style of filmmaking. So yeah, but still a really great film that I'd recommend. But yeah, that is my number 9. I think you've said it as well as I could with what you were saying. What is your number 9?
My number 9 is the frustratingly misunderstood and underrated Crimson Peak.
Crimson Peak.
By Guillermo del Toro.
Yeah.
I speak for this because I'm a fan of Guillermo del Toro. I like his style. I don't think his films are always deep.
Yeah.
But I think they always look really great, and there's always some great performances in there. There's always something kind of underlying it. But as a pure kind of genre exercise, I really enjoyed Crimson Peak for what it was. You know, it recalled kind of, you know, the great Gothic literature. I've talked about the review of Wuthering Heights and one of the best horror films of all time, The Innocents.
Yeah.
The excellent British horror film. If you've not seen it, it's just amazing. Yeah, highly recommended. Crimson Peak's not that. But as a genre experiment and as a pure stylistic experiment, the film is a triumph. The plot is a little bit slight, I will admit. And if you're going in expecting a scary horror film, you're going to be sorely disappointed because the film's not that. The key to understanding the film is in the beginning, where she talks about you know, my stories, they have ghosts in them, but they're not ghost stories. Like Wuthering Heights, you know, the house is haunted by the ghost of Kathy, but you'd never call Wuthering Heights a ghost story. No. Crimson Peak works in that kind of way. So it manages to kind of subvert a lot of the genre and brings a lot of kind of... It's a genre exercise, basically.
Yeah.
That's pretty much all it is. The production design is excellent. The acting's pretty great overall, including from Tom Hiddleston, who I never care for, but he's a lot of fun in the film.
Yeah.
Mia Wachowski manages to do above standard performance. I mean, she's excellent in Stoker.
Yeah.
There's like 3 levels to her, I think. There's like, she's brilliant in Stoker. She's okay in Crimson Peak, and in Alice in Wonderland she's awful. It's kind of like the 3 tiers of Mia. And then the lady that plays Tom Hiddleston's sister.
Oh yeah, the one off of Tree of Life.
Yeah, she's great.
Yeah.
She's a lot of fun. So it's big performances, big sets, very grandeur and gothic and bloody, and I quite got into it, and I think it's a little bit deserves a little bit more attention.
It's funny you mention about, you know, don't go in expecting a standard horror film with Crimson Peak, because the next one is a scary horror film that I've chosen. It Follows.
Oh yeah.
That
may or may not be on my list.
That may or may not be on your list. The sort of sexually transmitted disease metaphor horror film, which became a mini hit earlier this year.
Yeah.
Sleeper hit, apparently 20 million on a budget of 2.
Yeah.
Got a lot of great reviews. Seems to have died down a little bit now. I didn't see it on many lists. Yeah, but I think it's still a great film.
Yeah, I agree.
It's scary, it's atmospheric, it works on the best levels of most horror films in that it has multiple layers.
Yeah.
Great performances all the way through. It's slow and lumbering rather than horrible and gory like Saw or whatever, or Paranormal. It's better than like
Paranormal Activity. Yeah.
Paranormal Activity 5, which came out recently. But yeah, it's a really great subversive horror hit, and a sign of how great this year's been for film is that this is only number 8. Even though I think in the review we gave it like a 9 and said it was a really great film, one of the best of the year. But yes, It Follows. What is your number 8?
My number 8 is Ridley Scott's return to form, The Martian.
Martian.
I've got a couple of films on this list where I accept that they're like big audience-friendly films.
Yeah.
I don't think there's anything wrong with that. You know, some snooty art house critics might disagree with me.
Yeah.
But I think it takes quite a lot of skill to make a film which appeals to a general audience, and The Martian's the best kind of general audience film you could want.
Yeah.
You're emotionally invested in the story. Matt Damon gives a great central performance. I enjoyed how the film concentrated on the science elements more.
Yeah.
It seemed to exist in a real kind of environment. It felt like, you know, this event could happen in 20 years kind of thing, and this is how it would go. But it also never gets bogged down in the science as well. It'd be quite easy to make a purely technical science fiction film.
Yeah.
But it goes back to the root of what science fiction for me should be, and that's speculative. What if an astronaut was abandoned on Mars?
Yeah.
What would actually happen? And the film explores that to the full degree. There's a couple of odd choices. I didn't really care for the kind of the zany OCD scientist.
Oh, Donald Glover's character.
Yeah, I didn't really care for him. I thought he was a little bit... Yeah, I couldn't really believe in that character, but everything else I felt realistic to me, and the whole process of Matt Damon surviving on Mars and the environment Ridley Scott created, kind of phenomenal, really.
I was just laughing about it because you were saying now it's an audience film. Did you see what it was nominated for at the BAFTAs? Best Film, Musical or Comedy.
Really?
Yeah.
How?
Because Matt Damon won Best Actor, Musical or Comedy. They put it down as a comedy.
That's bizarre.
I like to imagine
it is quite funny, but...
It's not a comedy, though.
It's not a comedy,
it's a sci-fi action film.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. It's a great film. Anyone who doesn't like it, because, you know, it's too audience-pleasing, it must be a right arsehole.
Yeah, because I don't think there's anything wrong with making an audience-friendly film. You have to accept there's multiple levels to film.
Yeah.
And, like, your reception of them, you know... High art's great, obviously, and there's always going to be high art classics coming out every single year. But at the same time, I think you need to kind of give it a bit of a nod to, you know, give a nod to audience-friendly films, which I'll probably get into later on.
Yeah.
But anyway, The Martian's my number 8.
Okay. My number 7 is the film you said that you hadn't seen yet, The Duke of Burgundy.
Oh yeah.
I don't
give too much away.
I don't want to give anything away actually, because even looking at the back of the box and reading the description would classify as a Spoiler.
All I know is it was released on the same day as 50 Shades of Grey.
Well, it has sort of S&M master and slave sort of. It is about that, but it's the anti 50 Shades of Grey.
Oh, great!
And I think to not spoil anything, I'm just going to say that and nothing else.
Oh, great!
There'll be a full review to follow when you have seen it. But yes, my number 7 is The Duke of Burgundy. If you haven't seen it, go out and see it as soon as possible. But don't read any reviews or even a description. It's a great film. What's your number 7?
My number 7 is also It Follows.
It Follows.
Yep.
Yeah.
I'm going to talk about the John. You pretty much said exactly how I feel about the film.
Yeah.
I want to say that I love the kind of retro feel to the film.
Yeah.
I love how slower the film is. It's all about building up a sense of dread. The synthesized soundtrack is awesome.
Yeah.
Clearly influenced by John Carpenter in Halloween, and how John Carpenter composed this really scary music like on one keyboard.
Yeah.
It follows kind of continues, and it's also been an excellent film. It's scary, thrilling, exciting. It's also a callback to what horror should be.
Yeah.
Horror's a bit of a joke, I think, these days.
Well, yeah, it's just seen as pimply teenagers going to see people getting their legs cut off.
That's how a lot of people view it. And to be honest, horror has always been viewed that way.
Yeah.
There's nothing different. Like when Halloween came out, it was seen as crass and all that kind of stuff. But people who saw the film, love the film, have grown up now, are in a position to write scholarly articles about, how, all about Halloween. So horror's always been pretty much treated the same. It had a bit of a golden age renaissance in the 70s, but horror's pretty much always been viewed in the same light. And I think It Follows makes a strong case that, horror should be considered, and it should be as well respected as, pretty much any other genre of film.
Yeah.
So, yeah, if you've not checked it out yet, it's great. It's a really fun film.
I was also going to say, actually, just a thing I should have mentioned, really great use of widescreen cinematography.
Yeah.
Like, it needs to be in widescreen, this, just so you can look in the corners of the frame and try and
you're
spot
scared
things.
about what's behind the corner kind of thing.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, my number 6, the most controversial choice, I think, on the list.
Oh.
A film that got incredibly mixed reviews. Michael Mann's Black Hat.
Oh.
The one of the biggest flops of all time.
Yeah.
Did you hear what happened with this film? It was released in something like 3,000 cinemas and made something like $3 million, and it got pulled from about 2,500 of them. It got really mixed reviews. People were saying either it was like a 5-star or like a 1-star. Like on Rotten Tomatoes, I think it was like a 34%. Because it is literally all 5 stars or 1s, with the majority of them being 1s.
Yeah.
But what's also odd about the film is that the ones that were giving it really great reviews, like AV Club, Sight and Sound, Roger Ebert website, like really high class websites that you'd think would give like art films ones, and the ones that were giving it negative reviews like Empire and like Total Film, that kind of stuff. The ones that were like give 4 stars to the first Transformers.
Oh, yeah.
But I think it's a horribly misunderstood film. It's all about technology and the way human beings communicate with each other. And it's got a lot of deep, timely themes to it, explored through the framework of going after Tin Finger himself.
Okay.
If you remember from the review. The plot revolves around spoiler alert for the end of the film. The film revolves around someone poisoning tin ore to raise his tin ore share prices.
Like Goldfinger.
Yes.
Yeah.
But yeah, it looks amazing. It was all shot on digital and has a really rough and tumble aesthetic to the film.
Okay.
It's a really great, really misunderstood film. I think will be due for a renaissance in a few years' time.
Okay.
What was your number 6?
My number 6 is Studio Ghibli's penultimate film, The Tale of the Princess Kaguya.
Okay.
Directed by Studio Ghibli veteran Isao Takahata, who made classics such as Grave of the Fireflies and Only Yesterday, 2 of the best Studio Ghibli films. Well, Grave of the Fireflies is... Only Yesterday is kind of like middling. I go a bit too far there, but it is great. Basically, Isao Takahata is a veteran of Japanese animation, and in recent years he's become interested in replicating watercolour paintings on film.
Yeah.
He started this in his last film, My Neighbours the Yamadas, which is almost like Japanese Simpsons.
Yeah.
Where he used computer animation to kind of do these kind of watercolor paintings that come to life. Tale of a Princess Kaguya, he has absolutely perfected that art. It's one of the most visually beautiful films I've ever seen. It is like those big Japanese scrolls that tell a story. It's literally one of them come to life on the screen, and it moves. I've never seen animation done like this before, where you can see all the pencil lines, but like it's coloured using computers. It's a perfect marriage of old school hand-drawn animation and the latest in groundbreaking technology. The story is a very traditional Japanese folk story about a simple farmer who chops a bamboo shoot and finds a princess inside, and she quickly grows up and she has to meet her destiny of becoming a princess before she has to return to another realm at the end of the film, because she's almost like a god or something. Yeah. It's very traditional Japanese story. It's interesting the receptions of the film.
Yeah.
To us, it's an exotic, strange film because we're not used to Eastern culture and Japanese imagery and Japanese folk stories, so we're kind of fascinated by the artistry and how it's done. While I imagine for a Japanese audience, it's a story they've heard a lot of times before.
Yeah.
They've heard this story, told to them as children, but they've never seen it done on such a grand scale before. So it's interesting how the reception's changed, and unfortunately the film is pretty much responsible for why Studio Ghibli shut its doors now, because the film was a massive flop in Japan.
Yeah.
And it lost a lot of money, and that's pretty much why Studio Ghibli don't make films anymore.
Should have just made a Japanese version of Alvin and the Chipmunks, just to prop up their.
Maybe Studio Ghibli should have bought the rights to Alvin and the Chipmunks.
Yeah,
that's what we should have done. But the film's phenomenal. It's breathtaking to look at.
Yeah.
Animation's stunning. The story's great. The voice acting's excellent. I was lucky enough to see the Japanese dub.
Yeah.
And I think Japanese is the only way to see this film. I think for such a traditionally Japanese story, you need to see it in Japanese.
Yeah.
Actually, I'm sure the English dub's great. I've got nothing against dubs, but the Japanese one is the one you need to go to. And it's probably Isao Takahata's last film now, which is, he leaves behind an amazing legacy of anime and of the TV shows he's directed and the films he's made, and it makes me sad that I've only got one more Studio Ghibli film to enjoy, which is hopefully coming out later this year in the UK.
Yeah.
Which actually, that's been nominated for Best Animated Film when Marnie was there.
When Marnie was there?
Yeah, that's the final Studio Ghibli film. Okay. It's only just come out in America, I think, and it's been nominated for Best Animated Film.
Excellent.
So, I'm looking forward
to that. What a shame it's definitely going to lose.
Yeah, definitely.
Everybody knows what that's going to be. Will it appear in the film that's definitely going to win? Will it? We're talking about The Good Dinosaur, of course.
Oh, of course.
Will that appear later in our list?
Oh, of course. Oh,
yes. God. Also, I think it's important to say, going forward, they're pretty much all going to be really great 10 out of 10 films on this list.
Yeah.
I really struggled to get it down like these top 5.